If you've ever walked by a river late at night and heard the sound of a woman crying, you might not have been alone. And if you followed that sound, you may not have returned. La Llorona, the weeping woman. For generations, people across the Americas have whispered her name. Some call her a ghost, others a cursed soul, and many believe she is real. A woman dressed in white, her hair long and tangled, wandering the riversides, crying for the children she drowned. Her wails are said to bring misfortune, death, or even abduction. This story isn't just a legend. It happened to a family in New Mexico, and it's something they never forgot. In the summer of 2007, the Ramirez family moved into an old two-story house on the outskirts of Albuquerque. Miguel and Sophia wanted peace, quiet, and a fresh start for their daughter Isabella, who had just turned 9. The house seemed perfect, affordable, spacious, and close to Miguel's new job. The only catch, it stood less than half a mile from the Rio Grande. The realtor had smiled a little too stiffly when they signed the papers. "Don't mind the local stories," she said. "Every old town has its legends." On their first evening, Isabella wandered to her window and stared at the river glimmering under the twilight sky. "It sounds like the water is crying," she whispered. Her mother, Sophia, brushed it off. "It's just the wind, Carino. You'll get used to it." But Isabella wasn't convinced. That night, when the house settled into silence, Miguel woke to the sound of faint sobbing drifting through the open window. At first, he thought it was a neighbor, but when he leaned closer, he realized the sound was coming from the direction of the river. A woman's voice, low, broken, and heart-wrenching. "Miss Hios," she cried. "My children." Miguel shut the window. He didn't tell Sophia. Over the next week, Isabella kept mentioning the lady in white. She told her parents that a woman sometimes stood near the water, looking straight at her window. "She's sad," Isabella explained. "She cries and asks if I want to play." Sophia scolded her gently. "Stop making up stories." But her hand shook when she tucked Isabella into bed that night. The crying grew louder each night. Sometimes it echoed faintly through the halls of the house itself, though the doors and windows were locked. On the 10th night, Sophia woke up drenched in sweat. She swore she heard footsteps in the hallway, bare feet slapping against the wooden floor. She grabbed Miguel's arm. "Did you hear that?" They both froze as the sound of weeping echoed just outside Isabella's door. When Miguel opened it, there was nothing but the faint smell of river water, damp, earthy, and cold. Strange things began happening. The mirrors in the house fogged up even without heat. Water stains appeared on the walls in the shape of handprints. Isabella's toys were often found soaked as if dipped into the river. One afternoon, Isabella came inside shivering. "She told me to come with her," she whispered. "She said she lost her babies in the water and needs me." Miguel's heart dropped. He had grown up hearing of La Llorona from his abuela. He remembered her warning. "If you hear her cries, keep your children close. For she wanders rivers forever, searching for little ones to take in place of her own." He wanted to dismiss it as folklore, but the look in his daughter's eyes, terrified yet entranced, was too real to ignore. That night, as rain hammered against the windows, the cries grew louder than ever. The voice was inside the house. "Miss Hios, my children." One night in late September, a violent storm rolled across the valley. The Rio Grande swelled dangerously close to the banks. Thunder roared and lightning split the sky. Miguel and Sophia woke to an empty bed. Isabella was gone. Panic surged through their veins. They tore through the house, calling her name, but the only answer was the sound of weeping outside, clearer than ever before. They ran to the riverbank, and there she was. A woman dressed in tattered white stood waist-deep in the raging water, her long black hair plastered across her pale face. In her arms was Isabella, limp and silent. "La Llorona!" Sophia screamed, rushing forward. The ghostly figure looked up, her eyes hollow voids, her mouth twisted in eternal sorrow. "She is mine now," the specter wailed. "As my children were taken, so shall yours be." Miguel plunged into the water, the current threatening to drag him under. He reached for Isabella, but his hands passed through La Llorona's body like mist. Still, her grip on Isabella was solid. Sophia prayed, screaming, begging the spirit to release her daughter. For a moment, La Llorona's expression softened. Tears streamed down her face, mixing with the rain. She whispered, "Forgive me," and then she vanished. Isabella collapsed into Miguel's arms. Isabella survived, but she was never the same. She barely spoke for months. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, she would sit upright in bed and cry with the exact same voice they had once heard by the river. Miguel and Sophia moved away within the year, but the legend followed them. Neighbors reported hearing a woman's weeping whenever Isabella walked too close to water. And on her 13th birthday, Isabella disappeared. The police searched rivers, lakes, and ponds, but her body was never found. The last thing Sophia remembered was hearing her daughter's voice echoing from the backyard that night. "Mama, come play with me." But when she opened the door, all she saw was wet footprints leading away into the darkness to this day. People near the Rio Grande claim they hear a woman's cries on stormy nights. Some say it is the spirit of La Llorona, still searching for her children. Others whisper that Isabella has become part of the curse, another lost soul, doomed to wander forever. So, if you ever hear the sound of weeping by the river, resist the urge to follow it, because it might not be a woman in need. It might be La Llorona.